Just a quick heads up, I lost about 3 or 4 hours of gameplay footage because my capture card bugged out, so you might have noticed in the last video that I skipped a few stars. I tried to make up what I can based off of memory, but I don't know if I got everything. You'll notice the same thing for the first half of this video as well. You'll also notice some of the footage looks a little bit different in this one because I couldn't use my Wii U for logistical reasons that are not worth getting into. That being said, I replayed what I could using other means to play the game in a totally legitimate manner. Alright. World 6. Oh, also, I think this video is going to end up being uploaded late, so I'm sorry about that if you're wondering why it didn't make the 11 AM cutoff. And since I did have to replay a bunch of footage, the Green Star stuff was delayed a little bit, so I might need a few extra days to get to that, as well as the Grandmaster Galaxy. But I think instead of saving the Bowser videos for the conclusion, I might just have that come out on Wednesday, so that you guys aren't left hanging for too long. And then if I can't catch up by Friday, I'll try to get everything by either Sunday or Monday, so that hopefully Galaxy 2 is done by next week and we can move on to potentially Banjo and Kazooie? We'll see. Without further ado, the first galaxy in World 6 is Melty Monster Galaxy, obviously an homage to Melty Molten Galaxy. And this actually kind of continues the trend from World 5, in that it feels like these are the sequel galaxies to the ones from the first game, at least in theming. Space Storm Galaxy feels like a spiritual successor to Dreadnought Galaxy, Slip Sand to Dusty Dunes, Shiverburn to Freeze Flame, Blue Moon to Ghostly. Oh, and come to think of it, I didn't even discuss Fleet Glide Galaxy. It is a much harder Flizzard challenge, but typical to all the other motion control stuff, if you like those things, it's really fun. If you don't like the motion controls, you'll probably hate this one. I kind of like this one because it reminded me of playing Star Fox, or the opening scene of Revenge of the Sith. But yeah, let's go back to Melty Monster Galaxy. Your first mission, should you choose to accept it, is the Magnificent Magma Sea. Something about the lava physics of these two Mario Galaxy games are just so breathtaking to me. I've realized that every one of these fire and lava stages, I've just been more and more taken away. This one starts you off with a pool star challenge where you gotta dodge the magmas. There's also a fun little skill test to grab the extra mushroom. And not only that, you also kind of have to manipulate the physics of Mario in the bubble to make it towards the launch star. After that, you get to this little platforming section where waves of lava will be coming towards you, so you gotta make sure you're at the high point to dodge the lava. Amidst all of this, you'll have to jump through some poles, work your way over to some of these tornadoes that'll fling you upwards, swing around on a vine to make it to the launch star, and head to the next section. I think earlier I called those things magmas, but I'm pretty sure these smaller ones are the magmas. In the previous one, I think they were the magmargs, which are the bigger ones, based off the wiki at least. Either that, or I got it backwards. Either way, you gotta carefully work your way around this planetoid to make it to the star. Jumping straight back into it, the next mission is titled A Stroll Down the Rolling Lane. It's a bowling challenge. As soon as you land, you might notice a pipe maze on the left. That's your hidden star. The chimp will actually challenge you to get 5,000 points. Really, the whole challenge here is just figuring out when to use Mario's rolling attack to knock down as many pins as you can to make it to the end. It's fun enough. The actual non-hidden star is similar in that you're doing rolling, but it's more like a platforming mission. So instead of knocking over the pins, you're just working your way forward. Next up is Clockwork Ruins Galaxy. Time for adventure. This is a lot of fun. You'll have to initially start off by making your way along these revolving platforms. It could be a pain to figure out where to stand at the right time to get across. It's a lot easier said than done, but it's still fun to get through. You'll notice a lot of coins along your path, and that's because you need to collect 30 coins in order to feed the hungry Luma to get to this challenge over here to unlock the hidden star. You gotta work your way upwards while dodging all these hammers, but the switches will slow time down so you can make your way forward. Get through that and you'll be able to collect the hidden star. So now we can go back to the main mission. This time you actually don't have to collect any of the coins, you just gotta make it to the other side. As a random side note, because I think I lost the footage for this one, the third star is actually a purple comet challenge, and all of those purple coins are around these wheels. It is excruciatingly difficult. It's not that it's the hardest thing in the world, but it does take a very long time and it is easy to lose your life. Naturally, I relish in that type of challenge, but I can see why many people might hate it. It's not completely terrible, but it is annoying enough where I did not want to repeat it again to get more footage. So yeah, let's keep going. Once you make it to the end of all these rotating wheels, you can actually just take the launch star to the next section. I felt this was a creative implementation of the gravity gimmick. As you start off, it just seems like a regular platforming challenge, and in many ways it is. The wall in the background will keep coming forward and trying to push you out. You'll have to hide in the right areas so that you don't get knocked over. Once you make it up to the top, you get to flick a switch and change the gravity. So now you're actually walking on the back wall. You have to make it to a switch to unlock the Luma so you can get to the next launch star. You got more giant wheels coming towards you, and you have to stand in the right spot to make sure they don't crush you. You'll actually need to ride on top of the wheels to grab the metal, which is much easier said than done, but it is a fun challenge. After you get to the top, you go around the corner and you continue upwards using the same logic basically, knowing when to manipulate these rotating wheels to make your way forward. You'll be doing a lot of wall jumping here. Finally, once you get to the very end, you gotta jump into one of the wheels again so it can take you upwards so you can grab the star. And after that, it's a nostalgia trip. I love that they don't even sugarcoat it and straight up call it Throwback Galaxy. It's a return to Whomp's Fortress, and the first mission is the return of the Whomp King. Now, this galaxy being a callback is very cool, but for me it just kind of highlighted how much the Mario series has moved on. Playing this on the Nintendo 64, it felt like a wonder. It felt like you were uncovering new experience. It actually felt like more of a challenge, and that's probably because the controls were more wonky and took longer to get used to. Over here, on the grand scale of everything that I've played leading up to this point since playing Whomp's Fortress in Mario 64, it felt really small. It felt plasticky. It was very cool when I saw it for the first time when the game came out, but playing it now, so many years later, it's cute. I will say I do like that when you get to the top and defeat the Whomp, the game takes you to the underside of the actual fortress where you fight an even bigger Whomp, the Whomp King. Beating him is basically the exact same thing, it's just a little bit more menacing this time. Still, as a Mario 64 fan, I wholeheartedly love the callback, but I think of all of the callbacks they've done in this game, this one might actually be the most underwhelming, funnily enough. But yeah, for the time of when the game came out, it was cool. Now, it's alright. I gotta say, I do appreciate that the second star is a Silver Star challenge because that makes it more like a callback to Mario 64 DS, where you had to collect the Silver Stars in Whomp's Fortress. But in a similar manner, during the star you get Cloud Mario, which means you get to jump around and run around a lot more, making it very easy to treat this whole stage as your own personal jungle gym. Which again is very fun, but I just don't think the layout of the stage works well for Galaxy 2. At least not as well as it did for Mario 64. The third star is just doing the Silver Star challenge again in under 2 minutes. It's very easy, doesn't feel too much different. Especially if you're comfortable enough with Mario's controls, you probably beat it in under 2 minutes the first time as well. After that, it is Battle Belt Galaxy. I might have said this a few times already, but this feels like the most Galaxy 1 galaxy of this entire game. So much so that they actually named the objective Mini Planet Mega Run, which is probably what I should have been referring to them in the first game. I just kept saying planetoid to planetoid or object to object challenges, but it seems like Mini Planet would have made a lot more sense, or at the very least would have been easier to say. But yeah, this basically takes the idea of Galaxy 1, where you jump from planet to planet, either beat a bunch of enemies or accomplish a specific task in order to create a launch star so they can move on to the next segment. The objectives are much more simplified than some of the later levels in Galaxy 1, in that the settings here are more basic, but in order to continue to move forward, there is challenge involved. So while the objective is actually simple in and of itself, the means of which to complete that objective can be more difficult, and it gets just harder and harder as you move along. But as long as you keep grinding and take it slow to keep an eye on your health, eventually you'll make it to the final planetoid and be able to collect a star. Alright, let's pause and actually go back to Honey Hop Galaxy. I don't think I covered this one previously, but I remember this is one of the harder chimp challenges that I did. You have to get 10,000 points by jumping on all of the Octoombas in the allotted time limit. Part of the actual challenge here is figuring out where you need to go because some of the Octoombas are hidden around corners that you can't find. So I think the first or second attempt, you're probably just trying to figure out the optimal route. Once you figure that out, it's just a matter of being efficient and trying to make sure you can keep a bouncing streak. All in all, it's a pretty fun challenge, and it is an open sandbox stage, so it's kind of fun to just create your own route. And I think at that point we're kind of caught up, so I can go back to my original footage. There's a hidden star fight against the Gobblegoot yet again in Battle Belt Galaxy, but that's just a repeat of a previous fight. Let's talk about the Comet. You're redoing the Mini Planet Mega Run, only this time it is a Daredevil run. Unsurprisingly, this is much harder than you'd expect, and that's obviously because it's very easy to get hit a single time. The only caveat is they do give you checkpoints on this, so it kind of takes away a lot of the challenge that would have otherwise existed, almost to a fault, I would argue. But I did get a game over, so I did have to start over at one point. In any case, once that's all said and done, you can move back and call over the Hungry Luma so that you can move on to the next stage. Keep in mind this is technically a branched off path. There are a few of these throughout the game. You don't always have to beat every single stage, but I mean, you guys know how it goes. It's a Mario overworld. You don't have to beat every stage to beat the game. Next up is Flashback Galaxy, and the first star is titled Jumping Around in the Dark. This is more or less another rhythm style stage. The only difference is that the light lights up every few beats. Once you get a feel for a stage, you end up picking up a Yoshi, and there are a bunch of blimp fruits that you gotta use to make your way upwards. Everything is kind of placed in a way where you might have to use some trial and error to get around. It's probably not uncommon to fall to the bottom and have to start over again. Thankfully, you won't necessarily lose a life if you fall to the bottom, so it's not that terrible. But it can be annoying since if you do take a hit, you'll lose Yoshi and have to make your way back down to pick another one up. There are a few Yoshis spread throughout, so you might not necessarily have to go all the way back to the bottom, but it's enough to be annoying. But you can grab the Comet Medal and you can make it over to the launch star and get to the next section. There is a narrow pathway you have to follow to make your way towards the star. Obviously with the rhythmic flashing happening every few seconds as well. You kinda just gotta be careful around the ghosts, mostly, and along your way you'll want to pick up the 5 silver stars too. Once that's all said and done, you'll be able to grab the star. Moving straight back into it will be the Prankster Comet, Dark Octo Army Romp. So this is that whole last segment again, except you have about a minute and a half to kill every single Octoomba on your way. There's something like 30 of them. I'm pretty sure I failed by missing the 29th one, so the time limit I would say is pretty good. I think I got it on either my second or third try, although admittedly I might have fallen off once or twice too. All in all, I would say this is a decent Prankster Comet. After that, you're able to move on to Slimy Spring Galaxy. The objective here is the Deep Shell Well. I like this one a lot. Primarily the vibes. You get down to the bottom, you grab a green shell, use the light to blind the enemies and obstacles out of your way, be cognizant of your air meter, and eventually when you get to the end you'll be able to take a launch star and get to ground pound your way down a well and do it again. Only this time there will be little speed bursts you get to swim through. I like the part at the end where you gotta dodge the urchins, but other than that, when you make it out to the surface and you see the nice bright shining sun as well as Captain Toad inside the treasure chest, reminds me a bit of a few missions in Mario Galaxy 1. All in all, a fun and simple challenge. The second star is pretty similar, it's the Chimp's Coin Challenge. You'll be more or less doing the same thing again, except this time you gotta get yourself 10,000 points. Which means you gotta be a little bit more efficient as far as your coin collecting goes, and your blinding of the enemies, because that gives you points as well. The time limit is pretty generous if you're efficient and don't drop your green shell too often, but I do think this star kind of suffers just a little bit because it feels too similar to the one prior to it. But I don't know, the segments where you gotta snipe the ghosts from far away make it a little bit more enjoyable. But it was a star that I ultimately was able to complete in a single try. And technically, to unlock the star, I actually had to beat Bowser first, but obviously, we're doing the Bowser Galaxies next time. Although, come to think of it, I currently have the footage for the Bowser Galaxies as well as World S. So if you guys feel so strongly about one or the other, let me know in the comments. I'll do one of them on Wednesday and the other one on Friday. But for now, World 6 was a good conclusion, and I'm kind of annoyed that I lost some of the footage between Worlds 5 and 6 because I know there was a lot of repeated challenges when I did it the first time. And sometimes when you're looking over the footage, if it's not the first time footage, you don't really get a feel for how difficult it was, and it's kind of hard to remember sometimes. But all in all, I mean, for the first 6 worlds of this game, this has been a phenomenal experience. And the Bowser Galaxies were some of the best galaxies in the game, so that just made those first 6 worlds even more enjoyable. World S had some highs and lows, mostly highs, but we'll get to that when we talk about it. For now, if you guys feel so strongly about it, let me know in the comments if you'd rather I do the Bowser Galaxies next or World S. Either way, I'll probably be working on it tomorrow morning. That way, it will be ready for you by Wednesday. I'll see you on the next one.